You already know someone like this. They know your passwords, they know your plans before you finish making them. They sit at your table, smile at your face, and say all the right things in all the right moments. And something about them has always felt slightly off. Every time you walked away from them feeling smaller than when you arrived, you told yourself you were imagining it. You told yourself you were being too sensitive, too suspicious, that this is just what friendship looks like. It's not. Most people think betrayal looks dramatic, a screaming match, a stolen secret, a lie that explodes in public. But the kind of betrayal that actually breaks you doesn't arrive with noise. It arrives through 100 small moments you dismissed. A smile that didn't quite reach the eyes, a comment that sat wrong in your stomach, a celebration that felt hollow. You felt it. You just didn't trust it. That ends today. This isn't about making you paranoid, it's about making you sharp. Because the people who get hurt aren't the ones who trusted too easily. They're the ones who kept ignoring the evidence that was right in front of them, and the evidence is always there. You just have to know what you're looking at. Here's the first thing you need to understand. Most people who betray you are not evil. They are not sitting somewhere plotting your downfall. They didn't wake up one morning and decide to destroy you. They're just someone who, when it came down to choosing between you and themselves, chose themselves. Every single time. That's the real definition of disloyalty, not malice. Selfishness so deep it became invisible, even to them. Think about it this way. When things are easy, when there's nothing to lose, when no real choice is required, almost anyone can act like a loyal friend. They show up. They text back. They say the words. But loyalty is not what someone does when it's comfortable. Loyalty is what they do when it costs them something. The real test of someone's character is the moment when being in your corner requires them to sacrifice something, their image, their comfort, a relationship they want to protect. Do they hold the line, or do they quietly step aside and find a reason to justify it? That moment will come. It always does. The question is whether you are paying attention to the warning signs that came before it. The first sign. Watch what happens when you've experienced this. You know exactly what I'm about to describe. You got something good, a job, a relationship, a result you worked hard for. And in the split second before your friend reacted, you caught it. A flash of something that wasn't happiness, a tightness in the jaw, a smile that started in the mouth but never made it to the eyes. And then the mask came up. Oh my God, I'm so happy for you. And you stood there smiling back, feeling weirdly hollow inside. You weren't imagining it. Here's the truth about fake loyalty. It can fake almost everything. It can fake support. It can fake care. It can fake interest in your life, but it cannot fake joy at your success. That reaction, that unguarded microsecond before the performance kicks in, is the most honest thing a person will ever show you, because it's the one moment they're not in control of it. Watch this pattern over time. A genuinely loyal person's happiness for you doesn't fluctuate with how your success compares to theirs. They are just happy, fully, without qualification. A snake's warmth rises and falls depending on whether you are outshining them. That inconsistency is the tell. Never ignore it twice. The second sign. What they do with what you tell them? Here's a question that might be uncomfortable to sit with. The things you've told this person in private, your fears, your failures, the embarrassing stuff, the things you said in a moment of vulnerability, have any of those ever made it back to you from somewhere you didn't expect? Maybe not as a direct betrayal, maybe as a joke in the wrong room, a comment that landed too specifically to be coincidence, or a detail that surfaced in a conversation where it had no business being. That's not carelessness. That's a warning. When you trust someone with something real, when you let them see the parts of you that aren't polished, you are giving them something precious. A genuinely loyal person treats that with care, not because you asked them to, because they understand that what you shared was a gift, not a resource. A fake friend stores it. Consciously or not, they file it away. And when the moment is right, when the dynamic shifts, when the relationship gets complicated, when they need something, they know exactly where to press. You don't need more evidence. You need the courage to act on the evidence you already have. The clearest sign. What they do when you grow of every sign on this list, this one is the hardest to face. Because it hurts in a way the others don't. Watch what happens when you start winning. Not just a single victory, when you start a streak, when you start changing, when you start becoming the version of yourself you always wanted to be. A real friend celebrates every step. They get louder for you as you get further. They feel like fuel. A snake goes quiet. Or worse, they start subtly pulling you back. They bring up your old failures right when you're gaining momentum. They add a but to every compliment. They make you feel, without ever saying it directly, that the new version of you is somehow harder to be around. Why? Because the friendship was never built on who you could become. It was built on who you were when they met you, and who you were back then was easier to be next to, less threatening, less ahead of them. Here's what it looks like in real life. You start going to the gym, they say, don't become one of those people. You start a business, they remind you how many businesses fail. You get into therapy, you quit drinking, you set new boundaries, and suddenly you're different, and the friendship feels weird now. Pay attention to that pattern. A person who is genuinely for you never needs you to stay small so they can feel comfortable. Your growth is not the problem. Their insecurity is. And that's not your job to manage. The invisible test. What they say when you're not there? You can't be in every room. You can't hear every conversation where your name gets used. But you can notice something simpler. Who tells you things? Not gossip. Real information. When something was said about you in a room you weren't in, when someone made a comment, spread a rumor, put a spin on something that involved you, who was the person who made sure you found out? That person is loyal, not because they said something nice, because they made sure you had information that was yours to have. Loyalty is not always about what someone says to you. It's about what they say for you when you're not there to hear it. Now flip it. Who was in that room and said nothing to you afterward? Who smiled at your face and stayed quiet while your name was being handled the wrong way? That silence is its own kind of answer. A person who holds the same version of you, whether you're in the room or not, that's someone you can trust with your life. A person who adjusts the story depending on who's listening, that's someone using your name as social currency. And you are not currency. You are a person who deserves people who act like it. None of this calls for a confrontation. Don't go looking for a fight. Don't send the long message. Don't demand an explanation from someone who will just gaslight you for asking. You cannot argue someone into being loyal. Either they are or they aren't, and now you know which one it is. What you do is quieter than that and far more powerful. You stop sharing, not all at once, not dramatically. You just stop giving them access to the parts of you they haven't earned. Stop telling them your plans before they're done. Stop processing your fears out loud in their presence. Stop bringing them your wins first. This is not bitterness. This is not punishment. This is just what clarity looks like in action. You stop hoping the pattern will change. You accept the person for who they have already shown you they are. And you adjust accordingly, not with anger, but with peace. The most powerful move you can make is to see someone clearly and simply choose how much of your life they get access to. Some people get moved from the inner circle to the outer edge. Some leave the picture entirely. And the ones you keep close, the ones whose loyalty is real and consistent and unconditional, they get more of you than you ever gave before. Real loyalty is rare, but it exists. And once you know what fake loyalty looks like, you start to recognize the real thing with a clarity that will completely change how you move through your relationships. Real loyalty is the friend who's happier about your promotion than you are, the one who defends you in rooms you never knew about, the one who's excited by the version of you that's becoming, not just attached to the version that was. That kind of person is worth everything. Protect them, show up for them, and stop spending that same energy on people who were never going to return it. You've been generous, maybe too generous, with your time, your trust, your inner world. It's not a flaw, it's a gift. Just make sure you're giving it to people who know what to do with it. The smile that arrives a half second too late, the warmth that disappears when you start winning, the private things that find their way into the wrong conversations, the silence in the rooms you didn't know had your name in them. These are not small details. They are the full picture. See the full picture. If this hit close to home, drop something in the comments, because the conversation that starts after this video is often more important than the video itself.